think Kira came in and told you.
Here I am in pod 1 with the very lovely Redshift. Redshift people, you've did a gig. It wasn't last week, it was the week before. Blimey, time flies. Just the end of term. One gig which was full stage out here. Another gig which was street performing. But did you street perform? You didn't. Okay. Oh, that's awkward. Okay. There are reasons for that which you might want to explain on camera. However, the performance which was on the stage, do you remember what I was doing with you guys prior to that performance? There was a particular lesson. Remember what it was?
You taught us how to have stage presence.
Stage presence. It was a whole focus. Yeah, you're correct. On stage presence. What I was kind of very conscious of, and I think you guys obviously spend a lot of time in the pod. There's a lot of you in the band. I know it's kind of cramped. There's keyboards and guitar cabs, etc., all that kind of stuff to accommodate in a room. But is trying to kind of bring that creative songwriting process in to how you play it, but then the critical thing is how you perform it. And looking at you guys as a band, as I say, a big band, knowing how best to be able to then work on a strategy of how you're lining up on stage, how it's looking, how you're interacting with each other. Because you got the luxury in this room, I wouldn't necessarily call it luxury, but there you go. But you can at least have eye contact with each other any time. You can clearly see your fretboard, you know, the drums that you're striking, whatever it may be. There is a very clear way in which you're listening to what you're playing. What the difference is when you translate that onto a stage area is the fact that can you hear everything straight away? You've got Ben on the drums at the back. Shannon, can you even see him where you are behind the keyboard, and all these different things. Then you're reliant upon monitoring. Can you hear things effectively? And all those different elements can play a part in how well the rehearsal in here translates to a live show. The other thing that comes along is that annoying guy called Nick, who then puts you on the spot and says, can you remember to do that when you do the gig? Now, the tricky thing is here is the knack of being able to kind of not just necessarily take instruction, because let's not forget it's your original material, and every time I come in and pass comment it will be often, well, they're your songs, these are a few ideas and suggestions I've got for it, often from kind of production point of view. But I would say from the songwriting perspective, things are going really well at the moment. You've got what, 2 or 3 now?
3.
Yep. And the nice thing is they're kind of shifting out of different genres as well. It's not just the same format. Start with the guitar, we bring the drums in, we do this, we do that, and it's similar tempos. They're all quite different in the way that they're made up. How I see your music is definitely very high energy, very much the potential to be animated. And what I mean by that is I expect, if I'm listening to music and I've not seen any of the band, I'm expecting them to really deliver that as part of their stage show. You expect the visual to be equally as effective as the audio, if you like. I noticed that some of you did bring those factors in, and believe me, you know, I don't know whether you've looked back on the video, whether you've specifically looked for the movement kind of aspect of it, but definitely when you were bringing those things in, honestly, so much better. I think that consideration of Deck when you were standing next to Hope, moving you then onto the edge where, you know, you've got a very good stage presence, you've done lots of gigs, you're rocking and rolling on the edge there, and we've got kind of 2 elements there, and bringing the guitars in and interacting more with Hope in the middle. But Hope, what I want to see you doing, I want to see you really being that little stick of dynamite where you running onto the stage. Now I can't quite remember whether you did that. I don't think you did you?
What, on the
yeah
gig?
Yeah.
I think there was too many like wires in the way.
Yeah. So issues or trying to make these things work, I think it's worth rehearsing them exactly the same as you're rehearsing your songs and you're playing your parts. Consider the performance side of things as something that you go through, you video, or you tell each other, well, whether that worked, whether that didn't. You're going to find when you go on stage, you'll probably feel a bit uncomfortable, a little bit self-conscious, especially if you're sitting down when you're in a pod. Suddenly you remember you got your arms and your legs and how are you going to move with your instrument and all this sort of thing. Especially you, Hope, if you're spending a lot of time sitting in the corner here, you're compromising your diaphragm, etc., etc. So just get used to going out, and I'm more than happy to set that stage up and for you guys to go out there and do that on a regular basis. I would recommend it once a week, perhaps, for you to say, hey, we got this new song, how are we going to incorporate our stage show with that? But honestly, guys, you've got some really good material. Rhythmically, it's really sound. Sorry, Hope, you got a question? Yeah.
Can we do it today?
Today, yeah. There's no reason why I couldn't. If you, when's your session ending though? Because I've got Hell being unleashed at 1:30, where all the areas are being used.
Can we?
I think we've got half an
Yeah,
hour
we've got
left.
half an hour left.
Can we do it tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah. Speak to Phil. I'm in the classroom tomorrow, but we will definitely be able to facilitate that. We've got more than enough leads and facilities now. We will be getting a new mixing desk and new monitors. I went to look at those in PMT the other day. But going back to the stage show and everything else, I think it's a really important factor that you guys being as equally confident in your performance and really enjoying the O2 when you get to play it, compared to being happy with the creative process and the songwriting. I think that's really quite essential. But the things to look out for are, as I mentioned at the very start of the feedback, is when you're suddenly in a different location and you haven't got that luxury of being able to have eye contact and clearly see everything you're doing. You've got stage lights flashing, etc., etc. It's good to get used to being in that environment and still be able to play those songs. I've been in here before and turned the lights off when you're playing, and some of you have been, oh no, but I've done that for a reason, because if you learn that material to the extent where you're not fret gazing, you're not used to just sitting on a cab or a chair or something like that, you are used to getting out into that stage area. Honestly, it will make the whole performance element so much more enjoyable, and it will give you real confidence in the process. And what I'd like you to be able to do is to track it with simply a development log. So on a weekly basis, I want you guys to track how you're writing songs. You should have loads of blogs on the go, to be perfectly honest. Call them development logs. You've done it in the first year already, but let's have that documented where one of you, perhaps each week, just gets your phone out, you do a bit of a vlog, you talk about the framework of how this new song is being developed. Then when you get to play it and you look back and you think, blimey, that's how it started. It is really quite satisfying to see the process. But I think as well, if you do another blog, not just on the creative, but the stage presence and movement, you will be able to see that you might have been so nervous at the prospect of reaching out to the audience and singing and jumping off the stage. But if you rehearse it, it becomes part of the performance and you will just do it. And honestly, you guys, I think that the difficult thing is sometimes is having the songwriting and the music matching the performance, and this is what I want to try and emphasize on now. If you guys can be as animated and confident on stage as your music suggests, that will put you in that category of being a really, really top band. It's something that Jake Pell from the O2 Academy came up and said to me, I'll never forget it, when Shortwave were playing. He said, Nick, I know you're busy. I was making notes for assessment. Obviously, it was their final major project. But one thing, three things he said to me. He said, they sound great, they've got great songs, and they look great. And he said, they just look like a pro band. And I just turned around to him and said, thanks very much. You've just kind of rubber stamped and endorsed exactly what we're trying to achieve on the course. He could see no difference from a touring band or someone who's come out of this college. And if you look at Shortwave, you'll probably remember they were very dysfunctional, they had reliability issues, etc., etc. But when they got together, because they were really good performers, they were confident, no reason why you guys couldn't be delivering on that level and then being called back to the O2 to do your own shows. Why not? So that's the sort of thing you've got to look forward to. Anything you guys were dissatisfied about the gig or something that you know you can improve upon?
My stage presence.
Stage presence, so
Everyone's
Stage presence as a whole.
so
I'm not just...
am I, I'm looking in the right direction, aren't I, by focusing on that? And it's something that, if you are aware of it, Shannon, would you say the same? Yeah? Deco?
Yeah.
Yep. What about Ben? You're all right, you're just sitting in the
There's
back.
not much I can do.
That's fine. But isn't it going to be much more enjoyable you looking out and seeing
Yeah,
all these
definitely.
great things happening and go, wow, look at you've got, I mean, to be honest, you've got a bird's eye view. I know you might be blocked from the audience from occasion, but when you look out and you can see the faces of the audience, you can see how they're reacting to what Hope will be doing.
Yeah.
And like, wow, look, the audience, they start off standing there. They might have their arms folded, oh, come on then, impress me. Then suddenly they're singing along, they've got their arms in the air, they're jumping about like lunatics to songs you've written. I mean, how satisfying is that? Brilliant. Cool. So credit to you guys. Keep the songwriting, no problem. You've hit the ground running. When you get to do your gig in December, blimey, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? 15 minutes of material. You could just
We're doing it here.
laugh in the face of adversity. Or get my words out.
Oh, we don't know.
It'll be the stage out there, yeah. Having said that, the challenge I want to give you guys is
10 songs.
perhaps not do any of the songs, or maybe just one of the songs you've got now at that gig. Because I think you will have written more material at that point, and that you may be wanting to just trial that material. Yeah?
do this, please.
That's the challenge I want to set you.
Okay.
I'm not saying you have to, it's your choice, but
No, it's okay.
I'm laying down the gauntlet. Rather than you getting lazy and thinking, oh, well, we're ahead of the race, let's not bother trying. Let's get to a point where you're setting a target thinking, let's get those new songs finished, yeah? Cool, thank you.